Perek HaShochar HaPoilim VaShochar HaPara Daf Tzadi Dalid, sponsored with Shlema V'Chanatova Bas Rus. We begin with the Mishnah. The Mishnah distinguishes between avoidable and unavoidable mishaps regarding a shepherd who is a paid custodian. The first law is regarding wolves. Number one, the Tanna Kama holds a shepherd is liable if one attacks. He can chase it away, but two is an unavoidable mishap. Number two, Rabbi Yehuda holds that if one attacked by divine incitement, even one wolf cannot be chased away. The second law is regarding dogs. Number one, the Tanna Kama holds he is liable for not chasing away two dogs. Number two, Yodua Babli holds that if they attack from two directions, he is not liable even for two. Third law is regarding bandits and wild animals. Attacking bandits, lions, bears, leopards, polecats, and snakes are considered unavoidable circumstances unless the shepherd leads his flock to an area frequented by them. The Gemara explains if the shepherd was attacked by armed bandits, even if he is armed, it is still an unavoidable circumstance because the shepherd will not risk his life. The fourth law is regarding an animal dying while under the shepherd's care. The animal died a natural death or overpowered the shepherd and climbed the mountain peak from where it fell. Is considered an unavoidable circumstance. If the animal died of starvation or dehydration or was brought up to the mountain peak where he fell, he is liable. The Gemara questions concerning a shepherd who incites a thief by insult or by threats of retaliation by a group of men, dogs, or with slingshots. The Gemara holds the shepherd is liable. All custodians may stipulate a change in their liability laid out in the Torah. An unpaid custodian can exempt himself from swearing. A borrower can stipulate an exemption from paying. A paid custodian or renter can stipulate an exemption from swearing or paying. The Gemara explains, even according to Rabbi Meir, that one cannot stipulate any stipulation contrary to the Torah law. These cases are independent contracts agreed to by both parties, not according to the laws of custodians mandated by the Torah. According to Rabbi Yehuda, this rule does not apply to monetary stipulations, only non-monetary stipulations. For example, a man can stipulate in his proposal to a prospective bride not to support her, but cannot stipulate to refrain from conjugal relations. The Mishnah teaches three rules regarding stipulations based on how Moshe Rabbeinu put forth conditions to the tribes of Bnei Gad and Ruvain to inherit Ever HaYarden. Number one who stipulates against the law of the Torah voids a stipulation, the act remains in force. Number two, if the stipulator articulates the action before the stipulation, the condition is void. Number three, if the condition cannot be fulfilled, it is void and the action remains in force. The Gemara explains this follows the opinion of Yehuda ben Tema. This is the halacha. For example, one says to his wife, you are divorced by way of this get on the condition that you walk across the Atlantic. The condition is void and the get remains in force. The Gemara explains a paid custodian can advertise his credibility by increasing his level of responsibility. Number one, Shmuel holds it does not suffice to declare greater responsibility. He obligates himself by way of a kinyan sudar. He hands a kerchief to witnesses stating his obligation to pay even for an unavoidable mishap. Number two, Rabbi Yochanan holds his declared commitment suffices because he now gains a better reputation. We begin the new parak Hasholas Apara. We have learned that a borrower is totally liable because Kolanash Shalo, he only stands to benefit. There is one exception to this rule based on the verse that states, Im Bala Vimo Lo Yishalem. In Pia Shmua, based on oral tradition, the verse is explained. If the owner was working either voluntarily or hired by the borrower at the time or before the loan, the borrower is exempt from paying for damages to the borrowed item. However, if the owner was working for him at the time of the mishap, but not at the time of the loan, he is liable for any damage based on the words in the pasuk, Balav Enimo Shalom Yishalim. Gemara explains how to satisfy the option that the borrower acquired both the owner and his hire and the animal simultaneously. The owner merely has to commit verbally, but the borrower has to take possession of the animal. The Mishnah discusses a case where the animal is in the borrower's courtyard when the owner commits or the borrower stipulates that he will not acquire the owner's services until he takes possession of the animal. We learned earlier in the Mishnah the specific laws regarding each type of custodian. An unpaid custodian can exempt himself by swearing except for negligence. A borrower is liable even for an unavoidable mishap. The paid custodian swears regarding an unavoidable mishap but pays for theft and loss. The Gemara explains the source for these derivations. There are three consecutive verses dealing with custodians in Parshas Mishpatim. The first deals with an unpaid custodian, second with a paid custodian, third with a borrower. The third verse mentions explicitly a borrower, the other two verses are non-specific. The Gemara resolves this logically. The second verse indicates a greater stringency. It requires the custodian to pay the principal amount of the theft without taking a false oath, whereas the first verse requires a double payment, but only for taking a false oath. The proof that the second verse is more stringent is from the borrower. He is the most stringent of custodians and never pays a double payment. He always pays the principal without taking an oath. Gemara questions the Mishnah's basis of the borrower's liability of kol hanoshalo. All the benefit is his, since he has to feed and watch the animal. The Gemara answers, number one, the Mishnah discusses a case where a meadow is near the borrower's house, where the animal eats and a watchman is hired by the city for all their animals. Number two, the intent of the Mishnah is Rov Hanoshalo, most of the benefit is his. Number three, the reference of Kol Hanoshalo applies only to borrowed utensils. The Gemara explains a source that a Shomer Sachar pays for loss, not only for theft. Number one, the Gemara deduces from the double usage of the word Geneva in the verse in Ganav Yuganek the liability for loss. Number two, according to the opinion that Dibra Torah Kolashim Le'adam, the Torah speaks in the language common to man, the Gemara deduces it by way of a Kabbalah Chomer. If the paid custodian is liable for theft that is closer to an unavoidable mishap, he is certainly liable to loss, which is closer to negligence.